is original music by Johnny Gowdy and Scrappy Judd Newcomb, I do believe. Hey, it's Dale. I'm here with Mike, of course. We're in the echo. I said that once, in the most echo-filled room I've ever heard in my entire life. And we have a special guest with us today, and that is unexpected. Wait till we tell him who wouldn't do the podcast. So
I'm the second choice?
No,
Jesus Christ, Dale. What? You don't tell the guest that.
This is a different kind of podcast.
Okay.
I got a wild hair. This person couldn't do it, and then I had a mercenary that wanted to do it. A guy who had just come back from fighting.
A real life mercenary?
In Ukraine.
Okay.
But I thought that might be kind of a downer. And all five of my podcasts, or is it 4? They've all been downers. They've all been complete.
I listened to the one with your son. It did not seem like a downer. It was heartwarming and fun.
Can't say gay anymore, but that one just sounded kind of sweet, didn't it?
Yeah, it was very nice.
Yeah, a little too much.
You trying to tell him not to say bad words when you know that he's saying them all day and night long.
Of course he is.
We're
having mic issues, so I moved there. Doesn't that sound much better?
And I don't think they were downers. I just think there was some heavy subject matter.
I can't do everything's on the internet. I can't do this fucking thing, without talking about everything in my life. And there's just things in my life for the first time ever in my life that I don't want to talk about in public. So you have to dance around some of that bullshit. And that's what that was pretty much, So far, the good news is every podcast I've done, each one of them gets less and less attention. So,
really,
this will be place number 6. This will be number 6 on the podcast. You can hear me normally though before the echo, correct?
Yeah, you sound
because I'm just getting crazy echo.
Yeah,
probably because of the microphone that I choose. So listen. I wanted to have you on, but I talked to you the day after you left the station. I
don't want to be a dick, but you haven't fully introduced. You haven't said my name. Were you leading up to that? You did not.
Jason Dick.
Yes, yeah. I guess the people see it on the title of the podcast. They know who's going to be on the show.
I may not put that on there.
It's not like, is there something better for page views?
Yeah,
is there better clickbait?
The first podcast was What Happened, and I'm thinking about doing What Happened too, and not saying no.
So instead of the Dale Dudley Show with Jason Dick, it's just going to say the Dale Dudley Show, echo version.
I don't know what interaction you have with this human being. I know that he and Deb did not get along, but Mike and I both have had a fascination with Tracy Schultz.
Oh.
So for those of you who don't know, Tracy Schultz is a fan of radio who was a show prepper for me. With listeners would show prep our show and give us ideas, and he never, maybe out of the 99th percentile, he would have something that I would put on the air. Most of it was he was prepping for the show in his head. And all I heard is that he and Deb hated each other. He used to be an intern at the radio station.
Yeah.
This guy in his mid-40s, I think, something like that.
When he was, because he started as our intern, the Jason and Deb show on 101X, the Morning X, he was an intern for us. And he was 38 years old when he started as an intern with us. And the relationship between the two of them, Tracy and Deb, soured so much that I don't know exactly. He quit and went across the hall to you guys. We always kidded that like we traded him to you guys for a Led Zeppelin CD. But he quit working for us and then went across the hall and worked for you guys, right?
Yeah, I don't remember much of him working for us. It was, just clerical, kind of get the shit done and whatever needed to be recorded. But then later he drove me absolutely fucking insane with his show prep, because I would get up at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. I don't know how you do it, and I let the listeners do all the prep.
5:30.
I let the listeners do all the prep. I mean, come in there and just give me some bullet points to talk about or some audio clips, and we'll get going.
I always thought that was genius and super fucking lazy of you.
Yeah, but you know what? I was always over prepped. Always.
Well, you mean that you could always go in. And I can't imagine what it was like to do y'all show, by the way, because you guys just did 4 hours of talking. And whenever I would run out of gas, I'd be like, okay, listen to 3 minutes of Linkin Park and I'll be back. But yeah, you would just pull up the Facebook group and start scrolling and reading the things that were on there, right?
Well, no, later on when Emmis came along, we got a little bit more organized and we had a spreadsheet in the morning, but we never followed it. We never completely.
Right.
I'm just in my head right now editing echo out of this fucking thing. I can't believe this.
Well,
we're in an octagon.
It's going to be what it is. You can sweeten it and post.
Literally an octagon. So I just, as I said on my text message, as a wild hair, I just said, "Hey, Jason, will you do my podcast day after tomorrow?" And you said, "Why not?"
You said tomorrow, actually.
Did I say tomorrow?
It was yesterday morning.
Tracy turned us down.
You messaged me. So you offered Tracy first. And it's like, if I can't get Tracy.
No, I didn't even think of you. I saw a post or something, and I thought, Jason's had a few weeks to talk it out. Let's just see if he'll do it. I had no idea you'd actually show up and do it. And I'm happy you're here. And I promise, one thing I wanted to get away from if I'm going to do a podcast, which I just want to name Dudley. I hate the Dale Dudley Show. And I would like to do them more often, but you can hear the technical aspects. I need help. I need a room. I thought I'd found it. We're in a very nice office complex. I need to find a good room where people don't have to drive to fucking Leander to do a
Anytime
podcast.
Somebody texts me and says, "Hey, do you want to come to my office tomorrow during rush hour traffic?" I am happy to do so, Dale. So
It's Saturday to me, though.
This is a testimony to you, Dale.
We
took
the day off because the kids all have shit going on.
I haven't worked in 6 months, so every day's Saturday for me, man.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to get to that. Did you see?
Hang on, are we done with the Tracy part? Because I have an interesting Tracy.
Oh, no, let's do Tracy.
Did you know, since I'm the second fiddle to 45 times a day Facebook poster Tracy Schultz, who I'm sure is going to hear this, and he knows that I have no ill will towards him. I think he thinks I could have done a better job defending him against the whatever issues he had with Deb. He lived in my house. Now, he wasn't my roommate, but a home that I own, a property that I own, that when I moved out of was, turned into a rental, but for a while was just renting it out to my friends, and one person would move out and I would have to find somebody else to move into that room. And when he was our intern, somebody moved out, and I was like, he's like, God damn it, I got to find somebody to move into this room. And he was like, I need a place to live. And so he he lived in one of my houses for, I don't know, like a year or something.
You say one of your houses, and that was the thing when I heard they let you go, I didn't worry much because you've been investing in houses. We're in a real estate place right now where I work. And you've been investing in houses for a long time. Did you hang on to them all?
I mean, as of right now, I do. Every day that goes by, I'm like, we're gonna have to figure out which one to move.
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you. Can I just point out that with the Tracy thing, like having your boss also be your landlord is perhaps the lowest status like capitalism can make you.
In a vacuum, that's true, Mike. But I would say it probably was a pretty good. Tracy, I'm sure you're going to hear this and let us know. It probably was a pretty good setup because in the same way that I am a lackluster, laid back, don't give a fuck boss, I'm that way as a landlord.
Right.
Like,
So, I mean, he was lucky it was you.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, in general, on paper, that situation
it does seem like
something you want to.
A sitcom where somebody's life is just awful because their boss is also their landlord.
Right. I know.
Let's write that, Dale. You free? What's going on? Let's write that sitcom.
Boss lord.
As soon as I can clear my head to write anything, what are we talking about, man? I can't put my name. There was a period when I was going through some bullshit a couple of years ago where I'd forgotten how to write cursive, and I was doing a deal, moving some money around, and
I think that's a stroke.
I had to have the lady write it out for me on a check. I really did. Oh, wow. There's some scary shit that went down. That's all the private.
Write out your signature, or you could print on a check.
Write anything. I got fucking I got so sick. I got so ill. That's why I never see. I was going to come back. I had until June of 21, but I was so sick that fall that they were having to do everything for me. I'm not going to get into all of it again. Somehow, for some reason, one of them has blocked me, so I don't know what evil thing I've said. All I've said is I love those guys and I miss them, and I just now I'm starting to really mourn that passing. I had so much other shit to deal with. I really do miss it. I miss that camaraderie and that friendship. And I miss just having a microphone in the morning. Like, this is fine. This echo's going to drive me crazy. I'm going to mention it 100 times. But I miss just having a place to go and and talk more on that in a minute. Let's get back to Tracy.
Oh.
I never had a problem with Tracy, except when he became a show prepper. He would infuriate me, but then sometimes it made me laugh. So I started saving all his shit.
Why would he infuriate you?
Because it would just take up time. It would be some long, I don't know. One of the Indigo girls had a baby or something. We would
well, stop whatever you're doing.
Oh my God.
We would never use it. We would never go into it, or an argument between two celebrities that we had never heard of. So I like the guy, and I'm going to have him on. I do want to do the Tracy
Why did
show.
he say no? I thought he would drop everything to be here.
He's doing one of his many jobs. He has got to be an usher tonight at the Moody.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's not sure at the Moody.
Tracy,
tonight.
can you get me in there?
So,
can you get me an usher job at the Moody?
Oh, I was going to say, can he get you in? The
Oh, no. You know what? I can still get into things, but I can't get employment probably.
So let's just touch on the radio thing.
Yeah.
You talk about what you want to talk about. Don't talk about what you want to talk about. Did you see it coming?
I don't know how you felt about this, but basically every day since 2008, I was like, this is probably the last one. This is probably
really?
Yeah. Well, just like every contract like that we would sign, I would be like, oh, thank fucking God. We got two more years. And then it would get to be, and you know, what's funny is everyone, I would be like, okay, you got 2 years, figure out what you would do if this all disappeared. And then all of a sudden there would be 6 months left and be like, shit, I didn't figure anything out.
This is so weird. You have to understand, Jason and I just nodded and said hello. And then when I went in my room to do my show, it was a war against anybody else who was on the frequency. So you and I really never have sat down and had a long talk. And you're repeating exactly to me right now. I would be in Ireland on a free trip from Jameson, and I would be, and the consumption of 2 or 3 bottles of Jameson would have me so down that I would cry. I started crying at a bar one night in front of Matt and all of them, because the business always kept you frightened, scared to death.
Yeah.
Way before political correctness came in, you'd have that contract, and it would start. At one point, they were only giving us 1-year deals. Remember that in the early 2000s.
I think that was a period where I was going to say there was one period there, and I don't know. Well, early 2000s, I wasn't around. I mean, I started in the year 2000 and wasn't on the morning show till 2003. But there was a period where Deb and I were kicking so much ass that I actually felt very confident and was looking forward to a negotiation, because I was like, I'm going to fuck these guys up. And boy, did I.
And those would be the periods where I was going, well, this is it. That's all that's left.
Oh, when we were kicking ass.
Because it was so weird to put competitors. They should have put us in different parts of the building, I thought.
Right.
Like they put us right next door to each other.
The people who listen to your show probably know the geography of the radio station, but yeah, we literally share a wall.
Yeah.
Like we had to put things up over the glass or we would be able to look at each other while we do the show.
Finally, they covered it up. But I'm really surprised to hear that insecurity from you, because I really don't know you well, except for the times we've talked. And I remember.
It sounds exactly like what you would say. What you just said is like, well, that's what Dale would do. 2012 looked really bad. That was the only time Emmis called us in and said, guys, things have got to get better or you're going to be gone. That's the only time. I thought Emmis was a pretty good company to work for. I really did. They appreciated talent, I thought. But I got lucky there near the end. And Big Boy, I won't bore people with the whole story. Big Boy, one guy left a radio station and it collapsed the entire company. So they came to me and said, we want to do a long-term deal with you. And I said, what's long-term? And it ended up being a 5-year deal. Mm. But I knew in 2018, when management changed, that I was doomed. I mean, I knew. And I like it. Here's something that I haven't said in the previous podcast, because I kept thinking, well, they should have let me have that anniversary get together. I had called them already. I'd already talked to Scott and to Bruce, because I was so sick. I really was mentally and physically ill about retiring and all that. So, and I had been saying in July of 2020, I would say June 1st, 2021, that's it. So I'd already put the message out there to them. And so I don't know why, when they came in to tell me, I don't know why I was suddenly
shocked and chagrined. It was just a bad timing for me.
Yeah. Well, so I had that dread all the time. And I actually, when the new management took over, they really liked me. Okay. When I don't know how much.
Oh no, you were the golden boy.
Yeah. They bounced Jeff Ward and put me in his slot.
There was a period where with MSI I was the golden boy and I was doing that gig on KLBJ AM and I did the curse of what every radio guy does. He goes out and buys a Porsche or just something stupid like that. But then that ended, and I won't go into all that. That's a story for a book sometimes of my year and a half over there. But and then you were the golden boy. You had a syndicated show going on.
It was not syndicated, but it was a pretty big deal. And yeah, they liked me a lot. And the exact specifics and details, I'm going to save for my podcast someday down the road. But I would say that I saw it coming in that I had fucked up. And similarly to I think your situation, I was gone a lot because I was going fucking crazy.
You just told me we don't need to wait till later because I had heard that and I didn't want to say anything. I have some things I want to tell you when we're off the air.
Okay. Is this on the air? Oh, fuck.
When we're when we're off the echo.
I think it's fine.
There's some things I'd like to tell you when we get out of this stadium that we're in. Yeah, so you'd missed some days. Deb had missed some days.
Yeah, and I saw, what happened to Deb, and I'd seen, everything that had happened around there. So, yeah, when I got the hey, can you come upstairs for a minute? Which they came to you, right?
They came to control.
They made me walk all the way up the fucking stairs.
I would have much better.
Yeah,
it would have been better to walk up the stairs.
Oh no! Because then you got to walk down the stairs, and you pass Rosa, and she's just like, Jay, what's going on today? And I'm like, it's not a good one to ask, Rosa. But I knew, at that point, and
at that point. Once it came together, it was easy to see. It started with Jeff Ward. They were letting go people who made good money, who made who made old radio money. That's what was happening, and it really didn't have that much to do. I mean, politically, I'd already pissed so many people off in the building working on that AM gig. I saw it, but no, I mean, if you look at Jeff Ward was the first to go, and then now I don't know what Don Pryor. I don't know what all that's about. I wonder if that's a mutual decision or whoever. But it is what it is. It's business. Mm-hmm. But I was really surprised to hear that happen to you. So was it Scott and Bruce and Sinclair?
Scott, and now we're getting real insighty here. But Scott's kind of retired, right?
Right.
So no, he was not there. But it was Bob and Bruce and Lynn.
I have actually heard Scott is hung on and was coming in every few days. Scott was coming in to help be executioner. I mean, this is a good thing. I heard Scott was coming. Scott Gilmore, great guy. He was all these people that he had worked for him all these years. He wanted to be there when they were let go. I don't know why, but he just felt like he owed it to him. Now that may not be true. I've got so many conspiracy theories in my head, and my mental illness has fucked with me so bad. There are times now that months have passed. I go, wow, some of the stuff I was really thinking about. Some grand Oswald second shooter kind of shit was going on in my
at the radio station.
But the radio version,
yeah.
No,
yeah. So, but it is what it is. But you were smart. Because you had rental houses. I think I played poker with you one time, which is a bad idea. He's very good at poker.
That's my only income right now.
You had rental houses, right?
So basically, yeah, I bought my first house in 2006, 5 or 6. I don't know. As soon as I had a real job, and I was lucky in that. I mean, I didn't know what I was doing, but my mom worked in a real estate office. She's basically the assistant to a real estate broker. I guess at Realty Austin, I should not say shout out to Sir Keel Associates, Pam Sir Keel and Round Rock. And so, yeah, she told me, hey, you have a job, you should buy a house. And so I bought a house and I lived there for 4 or 5 years. And then when I moved out, I was like, we don't have to sell the house. We can just rent it out, and then moved into another house and lived there for a couple of years, and then did that 3 or 4 times. And I did pick up a couple of like strictly investment property type things. Like I have a duplex. Man, you want to talk about some Tracy Schultz shit? Sorry, that's Tracy. That was a low blow. I haven't even paid it off yet, but that was a low blow,
dude. I'm living. I sold 2 of mine. I had 4. I had 3 in my house. I sold 2 of mine because the market was going crazy.
Yeah.
But it's what we're living on now, and I'm trying to get it clear to my wife that we don't have an income coming from the radio station. We're living off these profits.
Right.
And also, you had to pay taxes on it.
I've
got 1 left. I've got a condo on Burnett Road, and it's like tick, tick, tick. It's coming, motherfucker. You're going to have to give that thing up.
Taxes I don't even want to know about. But I did buy this duplex where I've never been inside it, actually. I've never been in the B side because, Mom, am I allowed to talk about this? This might be a bad idea. But at the time that I bought it, 2007, the tenant had been there for 13 years, and he's still there. So that's 17 more. So he's been there. He's been in a duplex for 30 years, like in the same spot, this guy. I can't imagine what kind of shit's going on in there. I can't imagine.
You're on 2, right? Yeah, you're on 2.
Am I on 2?
No, I'm on 2.
Oh, are you really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'll bring this up only because I'm the worst, but when I showed up here, the great Dale Dudley greeted me. He had a beverage waiting for me, and then I got to watch one of the most accomplished broadcasters in the history of the business for 15 minutes scroll the sliders up and down and twist knobs and unplug microphones and jam. This is not the first episode, right? You've done this before.
No, but they're all fucked because we tried to do video and we tried to do them in my house. We did one on a broken couch. And I think it's because I'm trying to use these fancy microphones that I had for broadcasting, and the mics need to match. That's what's going on here. We have 2 powered. You're on a shotgun mic. I'm on a condenser mic. And Mike over here, the comedian, he's on a comedian's microphone.
That's how it has to be. I keep talking to that.
I mean, I just sat where you told me to, but I'll say I do sound the best. I sound excellent.
That's so funny to think.
Thank you.
That's so funny to think about, though, that when you were feeling great, that's when I was walking around my yard. I got so desperate, I won't tell you it is, but I called it a former employee who I'm not very friendly with now, just to watch it. I was scared to death. I mean, it's not a good way to live. It's a great business. It's a lot of fun, but that's not a way to live. It's really not, especially since they started out with this new people meter thing that we used to couldn't talk about it. Now we can talk about it. Guess who we got an envelope from?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Now, is this the people meter? Or is this a weighted
Arbitron's the ratings collection?
Right.
Well,
system,
it's all Nielsen now, but so for years the way it
I'm
works.
just saying for the listeners who don't know the link.
Yeah.
Good
job, Mike.
For years, the way it used to work like this. Say, let's say there was the Mike MacRae show, and you were my favorite. I was supposed to turn in a diary by Thursday, put it in the mail, and they'd pay me maybe $50 or something like that. So I would just go through and go listen to all morning, and you'd put it through, and you'd get the ratings for 4 hours every day, right? And radio bitched and moaned about it, said it's not fair. It's a popularity contest because people just put down Stern, they put down whoever else, and they just throw the thing in the mail on Thursday, and it's not a fair way to go. So they kept bitching about it for years. And finally, somebody came up with a way where you could measure tones. There's these secret tones being broadcast. So when you're listening to a radio station, there's tones that only your dog can hear. And this people meter. And and that was the thing that the last thing I did leave with a little animosity. And I did talk about how the new regime was flipping formats like that. And we were doing great in 2017. 2018, December comes along, meters disappear, and we're in the shits. And of course, the station gets sold to somebody who doesn't like it when the meters are in the shits. But that's how crazy it was. I remember one year we were like, KUT is always number one. I don't know why. KUT kicks everybody's ass, but it doesn't matter because it's not for profit. So if you're number 2, you're number 1, but you're not actually number 1. You're number 2, but you're number 1. And
money-wise,
yeah. And we did great. And December came along, and it's like everyone that listened to us died. They caught some sort of, this is pre-COVID, they caught some sort of disease, and they're dead and they're gone. And they expect somehow, without any advertising, no money for advertising
they
at
got
all.
Dale Dudley 19.
They expect you to somehow magically without being allowed to talk about it. You can't talk about it on the air. We would use this term called Peter Meeple to tell people if you meet Peter Meeple, I know it sounds cheesy, but that's the only way we really could, skirt around the system. And in 18, it came along, and they just started moving people around and moving Matt to the afternoon and doing this and doing that. And that's when you were the golden boy.
Well, yeah, and the system, I never got too pumped when we had awesome ratings, other than having a feeling of security, because I know it's all bullshit. It's so stupid. I'm
interrupting. I'm sorry, I'm older than you, but I got to the point where the bitterness had set in so much that somebody would come in and go, "Oh, you guys killed it. You beat KUT this month," and I'd go, "Then so what? Next month."
Right. And by the same token, would not get down when we were doing badly, other than being afraid that they were going to pull the plug, because I know. Like what Dale described there about the guy who just fills out the diary and just gives you 4 hours a day.
So weird.
Well, when you do that, Mike, like that's the difference between being in 11th place and number 1. If you have one guy who does that, like you will be in the entire city, there's one guy who's just filling out this thing. You shoot to number 1 for the quarter. And so, yeah, the fact that, and
everything I've ever learned about how ratings are established for radio just astonishes me.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And when they switched to the PPM, it was because people are like, oh, this diary system is totally inaccurate. But the PPM thing, I shouldn't go down a whole wormhole here, but it's a fucking lie as well. All right. That whole thing is a mess, because if you listen for 5 minutes, they give you credit for 15 minutes of listening, and you can actually listen to
plus the way they pick it, because I was looking at the letter the other day, and they want to know what shows you listen to, what you do. I didn't fill it out, but I had Amanda fill it out. And
so you're doing it. You're a PPMer.
No, you got $1, and then they write you back and say, if you turn this in, you get $5.
Uh-huh.
And so we got that, and then they called her and said they're going to send her $10 now. So she's pretty much a PPM whore.
But the problem with the system being so terrible, I mean, other than it's tremendously inaccurate, and I can tell you why they keep it terrible, is because they don't want to have to tell the advertisers that there's actually way less listeners than they have reported. But the problem with doing it this way is that you ruin the product, because what Dale said, like, you guys are killing it, and then they come in and they're like, oh, actually, you guys suck now. And it's like, did you stop doing this show that you were normally doing? No, you're doing the same show when you're in 7th place as the show that you're doing when you're in 1st place.
That last fall before they let me go, I was not doing
maybe you weren't doing the same show at that point.
And that at some point we should talk, not today, at some point we should talk about that too. I've got another conspiracy running through my head about when people get sick. So it seemed as though I didn't want to say anything, but you brought it up.
Well, hold on one second. I just want to finish that point. It forces the programmers to program for the meters rather than the audience, rather than doing the best, making the best product that they can.
Right.
They're putting out the product that will get the best number, which is way worse than the best product that they could put out there. And so that's one of the many problems.
And you're not supposed to know anybody who has one. And if you do, you have to turn them in. And so they'll take that one away and blah, 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 and bullshit. I got to tell you about
shit. That's why that guy blocked you, Dale.
Yeah.
They found out you got a PPM, so he's like, I don't know that guy.
Like 15
explanation.
Yeah, no, like 15. No, but 10 years ago or something, we had, people would let you know what they had, and I would say these words. I go, I'm not allowed to talk about that, but I appreciate you listening whenever you can, because you weren't supposed to know about the PPM. So, that's funny that we all have those insecurities, but we never ever got a chance to sit around and talk about them. We had basically 2 different companies. I mean, you had Lynn and going in that direction. Mm-hmm. We had whoever we had at the time that was going on. By the way, I need to mention we have a sponsor, Breaks to Go, breaks2go.com. They actually gave me money for this podcast. Don't worry, Mike, I'm going to buy a camera with it. I know you're looking at me right now like, where is it? But if you're going to get your brakes done, don't go into a shop. Don't sit around and have to look at another Fisherman's Magazine from 1977. Or look at a remote control that 7,000 people have touched while you wait for your brakes to be fixed. They will come to you, Brakes to Go, at breaks2go.com. And I need to mention, I'm a realtor for Realty Austin. I finally have some business. I got about 5 customers right now, and they're all most of them are very happy right now. We'll see
Are you a
how it
buyer's
goes.
agent or a seller's agent?
I was a buyer's agent. Now I'm a realtor. I do both. And I got hopefully I got one couple that's going to do both. But it's still very awkward. It's really awkward, especially if they're fans and you're in their house suddenly. It's just an odd little exchange when you first meet them and you're in their home. Because they're used to hearing you, say all sorts of bullshit in the morning and blow me down.
Probably not the right question when you're doing a commercial for yourself, but are you good at it?
I'm getting better at it, and I have to admit that my wife helps a ton because she was a top seller. She was one of the top 50 or something. I don't know if that was a long time ago.
Not everybody, but people have tried to steer me in that direction since I have had no job for 6 months now, and I really don't want to wind up in any sales arena. Even real estate is the best one, particularly if you were in Austin in 2020 and 2021, I guess. But I think I would be good, but I would really hate it. I would really, really hate it.
I'm nervous. I get really nervous talking to people, and then not having the expertise that somebody who's seasoned, who's been doing it for 25 years would have. Mm-hmm. That's why I usually bring somebody along to help me. But so far, they're
like another realtor, or just like your mailman, or
no, she's not in the realty part of it now. She works in this office actually doing the recruiting and stuff like that, but she'll help me out with some of the stuff that's going on. So did you grow up? You mentioned your mom. Did you grow up here?
I was born in Austin, Texas, baby.
Never knew that. I never knew where any of these people came from. I only had one real problem with Nick, and that was it. I don't think we ever had any other kind of fun.
You guys have a problem?
No, when he was an intern, he got all...
Oh, he used to make trouble in the... I used to tell him that they built a whole fucking wall for him because we shared a green room.
Yeah, no.
Nick was the
show?
Producer of my show.
Oh, okay. Is he doing that show now?
We had the same green room, Mike, and so all of Carissa and Daniel were on one side of the room, and then Nick was on the other side of the room. And it's a place to go crazy.
It's not even a room.
Yeah, it's a place to go crazy because there's literally 2 fucking radio stations playing at the same time. And it's hectic, and Nick he's got a short fuse and we could fly off the handle, and I think he did some yelling that you guys could hear. And so they built a wall, and now there's 2. Now they turned the closet into 2 smaller closets. Yes, he is the host of the morning show now, but it's not, to the best of my knowledge, it's not really a morning show as much as
a music show.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I promised I wouldn't talk about radio, and there we go again.
Well,
there you go again. Mm-hmm. Did you learn anything, Mike? You learned about the people meter.
Yeah. I mean, as much as I can glean about these ratings, they make no sense. It just seems wild.
Have you been now? See, right after everything happened, I was suddenly being contacted by everybody in the world. There was a podcast company that wanted me to come and be their operations manager. I touched it, and it turned to shit, and it went belly up.
Okay, I know that one.
Yeah, and then there are a couple of other companies entertained some hybrid ideas about doing shows, and I don't know what. See, I can get into conspiracy land.
You keep alluding to that. Just get into it, man.
I heard there's a poker game. That's what I heard.
Oh, okay.
I heard there's a poker game
where things are decided.
Where they give away radio shows. You got to fucking put me in touch because I will. I'll have them all.
Where it's the Rothschilds, the Gettys.
Okay.
Where all these bigwigs get together and that things get tossed around, And I still will say, I'll finally say this habit. Mental health was one of the reasons I was no longer on the air. Or I'll say this. My contract ended June 1st of 2021. So, that was the time it's probably going to happen anyway. But in my opinion, it ended early because I couldn't get my shit together. I mean, I couldn't be Mr. Jokey guy every 5 seconds. And it fucking happens to people. I can't imagine people every day going to work with some of the anxiety and the depression and the PTSD. We talk about PTSD. We always talk about soldiers. There's PTSD of all fucking kind. It just will fuck with you.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt.
Would fuck with you for the rest of your life. But I could go off into, and it's still kind of, this is going to sound egotistical. I don't mean it that way. I cannot believe that there's not a mic that somebody wants me to walk up and do a morning show on right now. And I would do it for cheap.
Yeah.
I'd plug my business, Dale Dudley, Realty Austin. Call me. You can actually call me now, by the way. It's really fun. Everybody's been really
What's that
nice.
number, Dale?
I don't want to give the number out, but you can go to daledudley.com or you can go to Realty Austin. It's on there, and you can look it up and give me a shout and let me know what your you're up to.
You haven't had a super fan who just went to the website, saw your number, and called you and said, Dale, for real?
Yeah, Tracy Schultz.
I'm sure it'll happen. I'm sure it'll happen.
That's the only way you got his number ever.
No, I have not. If there's one thing that has made me very sad during being unemployed, other than poverty, you said a bunch of people reached out to you. I had basically nobody. Basically, no media company called to say, "Hey, you're borderline a fucking legend. Would you like to have a conversation about doing a thing?" Deb and I, we're back together. We have a podcast, one episode. We're working on it.
Yeah, y'all did it live, didn't you?
Yeah, St. Patrick's Day thing we've been doing for a while, and
How many people showed up?
Let's say it was a sellout because it was every seat in the house was filled, but I think there were only like 50 seats. But no,
where was it?
Monk's Jazz Club. It was during South by South. I mean, it was St. Patrick's Day. And yeah, they're just a tiny little space that do events and stuff like that. And we, for real, decided to put it on 5 days. On the March 12th, we're like, hey, let's do the podcast on Friday.
But that's great. I wanted
and
to,
we did it.
That's great.
I wanted to do that, but I don't want to step on the guys' toes because they're still doing, we did 22 sold out live shows, and I guess now 23 for them, 23 or 24.
You should do it. People would come.
You think they would?
And I bet the room would be less echoey.
Damn it. I was so proud of myself. I had everything set up. I had a bottle of wine for Mike ready to go.
Yeah.
A bottle of Josh, whatever that is. I had my little flask here. Let's get into this. Why aren't you drinking anymore?
Okay, let me finish that. I hate to keep doing this to you, but let me finish that point, and then we can talk about drinking. Deb and I got together, and we contacted some of the radio companies here and had conversations, and everybody was like really interested and really liked us, but everybody said, we don't have any money, or in some cases, we don't have a place to put you.
Right.
And we actually had, I don't know if you know this, but I know this, we had a sort of deal proposal with the same people who you had a deal or proposal with. And it was in my opinion, very, very bad deal, but it was the only thing that was really a concrete offer to us. And so we said, okay, let's do it. And then that person had to run it up the flag, and it went up the flag, and he said there's static at the top of the flag, something about, I never worked for a big corporation. And so somebody changed somebody's stock advice to a recommended buy to a neutral, and that fucked everything up. But he basically ghosted us. Like I was like, what's going on with this thing? And he just stopped replying to me. And so
I'm giving signals right now. I'm not saying another fucking word, but I'm giving Jason Dick signals.
Wow. I will say into the microphone, I got ghosted. And it hurt my feelings. That was the only person who reached out to me. And that's
Is that it?
Yeah. That's Dale is writing down the name of the person who ghosted. Yes, I know it's the same person. I told you it's the same person who ghosted you.
And then it's like, but it was a great, it was kind of cool, but not, it wasn't cool, but it was, when I was a single guy, the term ghosting didn't exist.
I do a bit about that.
Do you?
Yeah.
Well, hold on to it for a second. Oh, no, I'm not going to make you do a bit on the air, but you had to do an answering machine sort of thing. You just wouldn't call them back, but it wouldn't call ghosting or anything. So I got to experience it as a 60-year-old dude. And that's the other thing I keep forgetting. That surely I was ready for somebody to put me on for free, and I'll just plug my businesses. I'll come in 2 or 3 days a week. And, I kept thinking, then I have to remind myself, I go, you're 61 years old. Mm-hmm. I didn't even get to experience my 60th year. I didn't exist mentally the entire 60th year. But yeah, but I still don't get it. I
think
think
that year doesn't count. You're younger then.
That's right. If I was a smart broadcaster, with all these people set free, I would definitely go for my favorite if I was a smart broadcaster. But it's all controlled in other cities now. So
yeah, that's the one thing that has made me very sad through this process, was that nobody was like, hey, you should, it's crazy too, because the fans are all like heartbroken that you're gone.
Right. For a while.
But nobody, oh no, is it go away? They still yell at me every day saying, where's the fucking podcast, man? Where's the podcast?
I'll never forget that. I'm interrupting again. I apologize. It's my worst habit, but I'll never forget the first one at Randall's in Leander, and a lady goes, "Are you Dale Dudley?" And I said, "I used to be." And I always wanted to say that to somebody. I've always wanted to say that.
Oh man.
Do you have, I'm sort of working on getting another job doing something, maybe. But part of the thing that like, I don't want to be, I could probably, I hope could get a decent job doing something somewhere. I'm a smart person, capable, when to get at me. I need work. But like people coming in and being like, oh, that's Jason Dick. He used to be a radio superstar. And now he bags groceries at HEB. Okay, let's aim a little higher than that. But like that.
But you know what though? I find that honorable. I don't know if you know Uncle Fred Cantu.
Worked at Home Depot for a while.
He worked at Home Depot.
I remember thinking that's fucking sad.
In between, you know what? You're right.
I fucking felt so bad. I was like, I hope that doesn't happen to me.
I did think it was a stand-up thing because he had an ill wife at the time, and he was taking the thing.
No, super noble. Like he's way braver than I am. That's what I'm saying. Is I'm a coward. Like I'm too much of a coward to go be a realtor, and you know.
Well, see, I'd done that in 2012, where they were telling us everything that you guys are about to get it. 2012, and all of a sudden, we got a meter, one dude, and it shot through the roof for about 3 years, and I put it off. I didn't even get my license until 4 years ago. I'd put it off in 2012. So, man, this is enlightening for me. A lot of this is that the same things went on too, but I'd never been ghosted before. I've been ghosted. I even said something to my wife today. I said, "Do you think I ought to try?" And she goes, "No, no."
Would you rather be professionally ghosted or ghosted by a woman? Because I've only been ghosted by. Well, I mean, I have been professionally ghosted before, but I've experienced the ghosting.
Why don't you set me up for 3 jokes that would get me a divorce right now, Mike? Just go ahead and set
if you were single, I'm saying.
Oh, I got ghosted. I always thought the women who. No, I got pissed off. I had a woman who told me, "You're just not right for me" at the door, and I left the door going, "Frump."
That's not a fun thing to hear.
Huh?
That's not a fun thing to hear.
Yeah, everybody talks about ghosting. What are we supposed to do? What is the person supposed to do instead of ghosting you? Calling you and telling you that your toes are crooked?
Well, just saying, look, this isn't going to work out. So they know that it's over. So they know that, this isn't going to happen. Or just like a human respect thing. Like instead of like saying, yeah, let's go out and then.
I'm still not believing these mics are working.
Okay.
On a relationship front, I would actually prefer to be ghosted. Like if you're done with me, I don't need any fucking explanation.
It would hurt.
Doesn't really matter to me. Yeah. The fact that I was a kick-ass radio guy for 20 years and this guy won't even say, "Hey, it's not going to work. We can't do it." That one kind of hurt.
That's the other thing, and I love the dude, but I did Bob Cole's show, and he just goes on and on and on, thinking I'm the best that's been, and I'm not the best that's been. I can name 3 or 4 people, Dave Jarrett, and others that were here way before me, but I'm just still fascinated and not pissed off because I can make a living. Like you said, let me tell you, dude, you want humiliation? Indeed.com.
Oh, no.
Indeed, Dale Dudley on Indeed.com. So here are the things I don't qualify for. I thought I've been a writer before. I won a few awards for a humor column. So some of the video game people I've applied for. I've applied for marketing, which I know I've put together hundreds. Together, you and I put together thousands of events.
Yeah.
Together over the years. Nope. Sorry. I don't have a bachelor's degree because I was doing radio when I was 17, 18, 19, 20 years old. And it is enlightening to see yourself on Indeed.com.
So Indeed, this is all, Deb, I'm sorry, because this is material that I'm supposed to be saving for our podcast. But I signed up and put my stuff up there and applied for a couple of jobs. I did not get them. That's why when Dale messages me on Thursday, says, "You want to do a podcast on Friday?" I'm like, "Yeah, I've got nothing going on." But I guess, it's an algorithm. Everything's an algorithm. And so I think if it's like, hey, you're still here, you don't have a job, I think it starts lowering the bar, because literally today, May 26th, your job feed for Indeed.com. Bartender, Valentina's Tex-Mex Barbecue. I fucking love Valentina's. Honestly, I don't think I get the job. Okay, I think they would say, hey, we need somebody with more experience.
I had one for the being a wine guy, where you take people out on wine tours.
Oh.
Which I could do, but I would end up drinking the wine and getting fired.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah.
Receptionist, Onion Creek Volkswagen. I would make a great. I am good at talking into. Okay, here. Speaking of drinking all the wine, you want to talk about why I'm not drinking?
Yeah, but I also, did you try any of the radio companies out of market? I had a couple of guys contact me out of market. You don't really want to move.
I'm not going to move. This is another interesting part of the story. Is I got fired in the middle of building my forever dream home.
Did you really?
Yeah, which I'm still building. The bank had already approved the loan. And so, we're going to finish it. And then hopefully somehow, some way, I'll figure out how to pay for it. But yeah, I don't know, maybe it's another cowardly thing for me, but I wouldn't want to go even to, if it's a supermarket, a major market.
Oh, radio.
I guess I would go.
That was the thing. For real, this pissed me off this week. So when I was a kid and I was in radio, and it was the Boss Jocks, it's with the guys that talked like that, WLS Chicago. And I was never going to be one of those guys. Then Stern came along and I went, wait a minute. There's a different way to do it. And you can be yourself and all that stuff. And the goal was to hit a top 10 market. And then if you really were successful, to hit one of the top 5 or the top 3, which would be Los Angeles, New York City, and Houston. Those were the top 3 for a long time. Austin just finally turned into number 10. It's a top 10 market now.
Yeah.
So does it count? It does, because the count was 2 years ago, probably, when they started the count.
So we are major market talent. Look at us, man.
Absolutely.
Look at us.
Goddamn right.
I've
always said it.
I don't know if this would drive you crazy or not, but in November of 2021, so basically a year before I was let go, K-Rock in LA called me.
Oh, geez.
And I told them no.
You told them no, like they wanted you or wanted to talk to you?
Yeah, they didn't offer me the job, but they called me. First of all, I was under contract, and so I don't really even know how that would work to do that. But they called me. It was fucking K-Rock, Kevin and Bean. Like
KROQ, Los Angeles.
Called me, was interested, wanted me to come. Specifically, they had a morning show, and they say, we like these people, but they're a mess. We need somebody to quarterback them. Like, they wanted me to come in and be in the number 1 chair there. And like, I had to, do a whole lot of thinking about it.
You didn't want to leave your mama.
But yes, that's 100% correct, Dale. I'm a fucking mama's boy. She's moving into the dream home with me. Okay, I'm moving my mom to Manor with me. Because this is my city. And I would rather do something else here than go to fucking Orlando and just try to claw at a 17th place.
If I won the lottery, the big lottery, like the 900 million, they're calling in saying we're still in here. Don't worry, we'll clean up in here. It's all good. If I won the lottery, I'd convince Sinclair to sell me either 101X or KLBJ, and I would run it with all the people that I've known and met, and I would not give a damn about the ratings or the sales. Oh. I just would put it on the air.
Well, I would say if you wait a couple of years, you might just sell that last property and you can buy the fucking radio station, because
that last property isn't going to last a year the way we're still spending.
Did
you have more on ghosting? We skipped all over you.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't. I wasn't lobbying to talk about it, but you were going to talk about the drinking thing. If you wanted to, you don't have to.
There's cleaning people here, and I'm afraid they're calling the police on us or something.
I'm sure they're not.
Dale texted me today saying, what is your drink of choice? And I said, just sparkling water. I've retired from fun.
And by the way, I own a little bit of
you
that.
Motherfucker, because you surely, you could live a couple of months or maybe a year.
No, I built a swimming pool with that.
Oh, good choice. Waterloo sparkling water is It's a fine product. I know that they got you and they got Deb in, and I was sitting right there. I was sitting right there with some monies.
Yep. They gave, but here's the deal.
I couldn't have a little taste.
I got twice what Deb did because I already lost out on Deep Eddy. I had a shot at Deep Eddy. They gave Bobby. I can tell you exactly. So the shares are still in, right? Mm-hmm. They sold 50% of your shares. Bobby's investment was $75,000. So that's a payday for him. Good for him.
Bobby
Bones.
Oh. What the fuck do they need him for?
They didn't need him.
He's not even. That's even more offensive. That's terrible.
Wait a minute. Let me ask you this. Did you just quit, or are you part of the secret society?
I don't know what the secret society is. If that's...
Friends of Bill W.
I don't know what that is either.
AA.
No.
Oh, okay.
I mean...
You would get it at some point.
If he didn't know the Friends of Bill thing, then he's not an AA.
No, so I initially, you'll remember 3 years ago or so, lost a whole bunch of weight, 125 pounds, still without 75 of those or so. But part of, I mean, if you want to lose weight, stop drinking. Okay, it's like the cheat code. It's the easiest way to do it. The program that I was on, you could have, I think it was like 4 vodka drinks a week. I remember I asked the lady, I was like, can I, she's like, you can have 4 vodka drinks. I was like, a day? And she's like, no, per week. I was like, well, that doesn't do anything for me.
An hour?
Yeah.
Well, see, I got on the expensive Wegovy shit and stuff. Because I was still getting paid for 6 months. I'm not supposed to say that, but I mean, my contract was up and they fired me in January. So I got on that. And there was an article this week and it said, did scientists accidentally stumble upon a drug that heals addiction? And they're finding out that people that are on those drugs don't want to drink anymore and don't want to shop anymore. Which I like, so I'm finding a way to inject it in my wife's ass every God, that was a bad joke. Every other day. No, but they're really finding amazing stuff, dude. And that stuff, I just can't afford it now. Though it was prohibitive, but I'm trying to work a way around that.
So I quit drinking then for 6 months or so. I mean, I would have a little bit. The lady told me I could have 4 per week, and I remember asking, "Can I bank them? Because I want to have 15 in one day. That's the way I operate." And she said no. But I noticed then, even the weeks where I would have 0 versus having the 4, I would lose more weight, and so I just stopped drinking altogether for 3 or 4 months, and lost all the weight. Got to the end, and I was like, okay, that was great. And then I went back to my old way of drinking, and I would quickly put weight back on.
I would gorge when I drank.
Oh yeah.
See, I don't do that when I'm on that Wegovy shit. I'll drink, but I don't want to go gorge on food.
And so there would just be times where I was like, I'm gaining back weight too fast, so let me stop doing it. And so that sort of introduced me to the idea that, hey, I could go without it. I could, not have it, because if you told 20-something me that I couldn't drink, I would be like, wow, there's no use in living. Right. I don't want to do any of that.
That's where, when I talk about Bobby, that's where he was different from everyone else. And because my envy used to want to give him shit. But for me, when I hit my 30s and I was through my first divorce, all I wanted to do was get laid and see every band alive. I didn't want to work on my career every day. Where some people decided, I'm not going to drink and I'm going to concentrate on this. Now look at where
Bobby Bones did that.
He did that.
And we did the other thing.
But I got laid a lot.
Oh, yeah.
A whole bunch.
And that was probably the most kick-ass times for Dale Dudley, right?
Because I was sexually abused as a kid. No. That's all I thought about is the sex. I worked it in. I worked it into the show. I worked my abuse into the show.
But the real answer is, I'm burying the lead here, was that I got to the point where I was using it so much more often to stop being sad or to stop being anxious about things versus to have fun. And that there were plenty of problem episodes. And so, I just decided that
blow here.
I've never done blow. I say I've never done cocaine.
DJ.
I say that I've never done it. And I've always said that I don't do it because I know I would love it.
Yeah.
All right. I know.
But it makes me horny. So there's a lot of really bad stories out there about it.
I know one.
Do you know the one about the roller girls?
Yeah, that's the one I know.
It kills me, man. When I'm really down on myself and really thinking, you know, about the people I've hurt, because you start thinking about karma and you say, well, wait a minute, this person's done this to me, but what about this thing I've never told anyone I've ever done? And that one still sticks with me.
So I've never done cocaine. I say that. But I've had so many nights where I was just blackout drunk and have no idea what happened. And people told me, they're like, oh, yeah, you kept on going for 4 hours after. And I was like, oh, it's possible then. It's possible.
That might be the missing. There's a cocaine-shaped hole in the story.
Did you know Deb said she couldn't work with me? She told me right to my face.
I believe that.
I don't think that's true. I think we would sound fun together on a podcast or whatever.
I can tell you, Dale, and I have no problem with it, but just from the way that you have executed this conversation, there have been like 20 times where she would have fucking punched you in the face.
Why?
She wouldn't punch you in the face.
Because I interrupt.
The interrupting thing is pretty bad. But listen.
I'd get to see it, though.
But I always try to get back to where you want to be. I don't ever try to, you know. I have a bunch more for you that I wanted to ask.
Okay,
we're running out of time.
Let's not run out of time. Let's get to those things. But I would tell you that not everybody is meant to work with everybody. You know, some people it doesn't. Deb and Tracy Schultz is a perfect example.
I'm not sure I could work with Deb because we're really good friends. I mean, we really get along.
Well, weren't you really good friends with Matt and Bob? And
I am, but you know there was a meltdown. You heard about the meltdown.
I know about the meltdown.
And I
heard a little bit of it.
But I can't apologize anymore. I mean, it is what it is, and it was affected by what was on.
I know you didn't want to talk about radio the whole time, but we did a bit every morning at 6:50-ish where it's a trivia game where I would leave the studio and I would go stand in the hallway. So I would hear just 4 minutes of the Dudley and Bob program from 6:50 to 6:54.
Off air or on air?
No, you guys were on the air. And I can't imagine what goes on in the other 3 hours and 56 minutes. But there were just times where I was like, oh my God, Dale's a fucking maniac.
Why? Give me an example.
You know what? Some of it might have been off the air stuff. And now I don't want to say specific things. I can't remember whether you guys have the door open, so and the light, whether it was on or off.
That was tough.
Some of the times I was like, oh my God.
Worst on air fight that you ever had?
It's not that bad. Like, you know, Deb and I were, you know, she's pretty fiery. I'm an asshole. So there were plenty of times where we would get at each other, but there was never anything that was like, never anything really that I remember that was notable. You know, I was the worst. I did make a joke about her dog that had passed away, and if you know how she is, I mean anybody who has a fucking dog, and you know, we sort of always played by the like anything is in bounds kind of rules, but I definitely crossed the line, and see
that's what they don't want on radio anymore. But they don't want that.
It wasn't a fight. It was just like she left the room to like crying. And so that was the thing that like I remember.
I heard her leave the room with a couple of motherfuckers before.
Well, so I will tell you that's the other thing is like, good luck fighting with me because I will just stop talking to you. I'll just be like, okay, whatever you say, man. And I'm sure that's a worse way to operate than somebody who just wants to shout it out. But I will just be like, okay, that's great. Sure. Whatever you say. But she and Nick are both people who will shout until they have won the situation. So those are the motherfuckers that you heard.
And then what about the off-air fights? Not the same?
Yeah, I would say that for the frequency was always like it didn't matter whether we were on or off.
Yeah, that's why that last little hurrah of mine, I deeply regret.
He tried to tell you to do it off the air.
I swear there's going to be a day where I do a podcast and we don't talk about radio, but there's people ask me this one all the time. I guess when they say best guest after 34 years and 10 months, it's impossible to pick best guest, but I could give you a handful of worst guests. Do you have a handful of worst guests or a couple you could?
See, like that's the other, and I guess it's a blessing that this is the way I operate, and that if things go bad,
we love it. That's the way Bearden,
Well,
that's the way Bearden is.
I'll forget about it. Like if it was so bad that I was like, oh my God, that was a disaster. I would just I don't remember it. If they were hilariously bad, I'm trying to remember his name. I should not remember his name because Efren Ramirez played Pedro in Napoleon Dynamite.
Yeah,
and I'm sure he's a swell guy, but I had him in. This was before Deb because it was just me solo, and I had him in when Napoleon Dynamite was out. So whenever that was, 2004, and I was like, he's a cool guy. We were going to come on and chat about the thing, and then the mics go on, and he's Pedro. He did not tell me he was going to do it as Pedro, so I'm like asking him questions, and he's like, I was really hot today, and like doing the character, and I was like not ready for that, and so that was really.
Those are always bad. We had a guy, Craig something or another, and you would know him. He was an impressionist. He was always on Stern, and I never could understand why Stern liked him.
Oh yeah.
Because he was terrible, and he would.
Craig Gass.
So he comes in one of my breakups. That's usually the thing you talked about when I was fucked up off the air too. He came in one of the worst days that he possibly could. Craig Gass, I remember it now. And he goes, listen, I'm going to pretend to be Bobcat Goldthwait for the next hour. And I looked at him and said, no, dude, you're not going to pretend to be Bobcat Gold. I'm not playing the game. I just can't do that for a whole hour. Worst guest we ever had for me that turned out to be the best guest ever was Gary Busey. Because he thought I was just a board op, and he kept abusing me. And the biggest asshole was Carrie Elwes, who was a star of The Princess Bride.
Oh, yeah.
And then and then we had for a long time Kevin Smith, and years later Kevin Smith comes in, and we tell him when it was, and he goes, I can't remember her name, Joey Heather Smith, whatever he was dating. He goes, she dumped me that night, and I had to come do your show the next morning. And that's the way it was. I thought this would be 45 minutes. We're at an hour now. And man, I feel bad that we didn't spend more time getting to know each other. We seem to have a lot more in common
during our radio days.
Yeah.
You know, when I was coming here today, as you've alluded to, I was thinking, I was like, Dale and I have never had a real conversation. There was one time, I don't know if you remember, but it was in the media area at ACL Fest that we talked for a while about a thing. We were talking shop. It was specifically, maybe you remember the bit. I don't know. There was some guy who got medium famous in Austin for being, I don't know, weird, or he's not the pickup artist.
Not
but
Romeo
he was,
Rose.
Yes.
Romeo Rose. Yes.
And I just remember listening because I'd heard about you guys doing it. So I went to your podcast and listened to it. And I just told you that day that it was fucking brilliant. Like I thought it was great.
Was the beginning of, that was the beginning of Everybody Gets Canceled, where we just forgot about context. He was a racist, obviously, and I think he also was on the spectrum, but he wanted to come in, and I decided that the listeners should hear a person being racist. I should allow him to compare whatever race he wanted to compare to whatever animal, that they should hear the horror. Little did I know, no, it was like, don't ever play that again. Don't repeat that.
Well, that's what I was telling you. And I think why you were like, oh, Jason's not an asshole was because I thought it was brilliant the way that you guys handled it, and that you were not making fun of him. You were not, you were just letting him go.
Let him do it.
Just letting him do it.
For it.
And I thought that was great.
Yes, some serious
this is what it was
on your show before.
What's that?
You've allowed some serious bozos on your show.
Yeah.
In the early days, I had the Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan who had a speech impediment, and Bob wouldn't stay in the room, and I nailed the guy. I go, the speech impediment is why you hate blacks. The whole thing.
But I don't remember if it was that day that you said it to me or if you said it to somebody else, but I know that they said that Dale thinks that you're aloof, which I'm not even totally sure what that means, but it's probably
Shy.
right. All right.
Shy.
Oh, okay. But shy in like a I'm better than you kind of way.
I think sometimes, no. I think I've come off that way to a lot of people, because I think that shyness and personality and media success comes off that way. Like, you could be a deeply shy person, and I don't want to go up and shake 3 people's hands. I had to get
comics get that a lot too.
I still need to drink a little bit before I do anything like this, or before we do something on stage, which I think we should all do. But I'm not going to try to weasel into something you and Deb have going to try later. So, but man, this is. I'm so sorry about the microphone thing. I'm just a real stickler.
I'm just glad that I got the good one. All right, thank you.
Yeah,
you're a good host, Dan.
That's when I thought I could. That's when I thought I could do voiceover. I learned quickly that I couldn't do voiceover. It's not about the mic; it's about the person who speaks. Mike, of course, you're here.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel bad, Mike, because Dale and I have been at it.
I mean, and just to let you know, if you want to do a 45-minute one with me, we got to start in 4 minutes.
Oh, okay. You want to call the guy with the? I've got a mercenary that wants to come in.
You guys are doing another episode.
No,
I got to get out of here on that.
Oh, you're not tonight? Not tonight?
No, not tonight.
Okay. Well,
unless you wanted to. Listen.
Can I ask you one more thing before?
Yeah.
Are you still? I drive a Tesla. Are you still a Tesla guy?
Still a Tesla guy.
Doesn't it suck now that Elon Musk is proven to be an asshole?
Yeah, I'm selling my stock too.
Like when
not because he's an asshole, because there's a lot of guys predicting that stock's going to take a huge dive.
In 2018, like we were the coolest kids on the block. You remember you guy, because I got one before you, and you would be like, "Is it this? Is it great?" And it's like, "Yeah, it's awesome. Everything about it's awesome."
I still love the
and
car.
now I see people see me, and they're like, "Fuck this
Still
guy.
love the car.
It's fucking asshole."
Well, I want to say this real quick. Those of you who, if you are in radio and you're tuning into this and you're somewhere in some sort of, I don't get it. I'm not talking about myself. I do not get how you let this kind of talent sit around when, I want to say what station they should go up against, but I'm not going to. When there's just so many people out there who could do you such a good job and go up against the bigs, but that's for another podcast. Jason, Dick, thank you very much.
Yeah,
I
man.
appreciate it. Deb, I love you because I know you're listening to this. And Mike MacRae wins the next gig.
Tracy, we love you too.
Tracy's next.
Yeah.
Tracy, I'm
Sounds like a
sorry
threat.
I compared
He
you.
said if he didn't have to work, he would have been falling all over himself. I just want to
Tracy?
hear him call Deb the C word.
I'm sorry I compared you to that shut-in tenant of mine, Tracy. I think you're a fine young man.
How many properties do you have left?
I have all of them left, Dale. I have.
So you don't need to work.
No, I do. Well, I mean,
I have one left.
yeah.
All right. Mike, what did you say where you're performing next?
No, you ask a question and
I interrupted you
Yeah.
again.
See, that's the stuff that
how
Deb
it
would not
goes.
stand for.
let's see. June 1st, I'll be at the Spider House Ballroom. I think a show at 8 or 9. I don't know offhand, but yeah, June 1st, Spider House Ballroom. Bunch of comics are doing a showcase to benefit a short film that's being made locally.
Would you like to do one of these live?
Yeah.
You know what we're gonna need is an engineer. Okay,
That's
somebody
right. I can't take
Yeah,
this
we
again.
can't do this shit in front of people.
Dude, and I
in the
was
beginning.
so relaxed. I was walking around having some M&Ms going, I've got it completely set up the way it's supposed to be. All right, everybody. We'll see you next time.